Hey there, Wargamers, just here on Painter, and today we're going to talk a little bit about Adepticon. Again, I don't know which order these went out, but again. I'd like to welcome you guys back to the channel. If you are a returning viewer, thank you so much for coming back and hanging out. If you are new here, make sure you alpha strike that like and subscribe button. Let's take that energy that you would force into or focus into an enemy mech, and let's focus it. Let's turn it on helping the channel grow. That said, in today's video, I want to talk a little bit about my experience at Adepticon, stuff that wasn't covered before, specifically kind of what I do here on YouTube, what my goal is, and generally that is to try and cast a light in the darkness for others who are looking for something cool, meaningful for them in the hobby realm. And if I reach at least one person to get them in the hobby, get them into the things that I'm into, get them into painting, I feel like I've done a good job. And I had 3 experiences at Adepticon that I want to talk about. 2 were brief. One is a little bit longer. I've got my phone so I can read the messages because I got messages from a guy, believe it or not. So the first 2 I had, and I apologize if you're watching this, the first 2, I had a gentleman who came to my booth to shake my hand, and he was like, "Hey, you're Justin, the arm painter. I used to watch you on Twitch. I'm such and such." He gave me his handle, and I cannot remember it. I should have wrote it down, and I feel like a piece of shit for not remembering, and I apologize, bud. But if you're watching this, you will know who it is because you specifically sought me out. But he came, and he's like, "Hey," he said something to the effect of, "I really appreciate what you're doing, and it really helped me out a lot, and helped me with the hobby, that kind of thing." But it came across as a lot less about painting, a lot more about maybe mental health kind of thing. Not like I was being a counselor, because that's not the case. It was more like giving someone, it felt like I had given someone a comfortable space to spread their wings and enjoy the same things I enjoy and promote positivity. And this dude came to the booth and shook my hand, and I'm paraphrasing and butchering his quote specifically, but that was the impression I got, and I was like, yo, that was freaking awesome. Like, I'm not known in the community that way. I stopped streaming years ago, but there's still people. Last year at Adepticon, I was getting food. I was in Raising Cane's outside wherever it was in Schaumburg, and I'm in I might have been in the line or just getting sat down to eat, and this dude walks in and goes, "Amp Services," or the arm painter or whatever. It's like, "Hey," and then I sit down, and then my group's kind of laughing a little bit at me, and I was like, "Hey, someone knew who I was." And I don't know how he recognized me that well, because it wasn't like I was like face to face, but he knew me from Twitch. It was the only person who did. But that was fun. That was a cool thing. But this experience was someone like specifically thanking me for what I did, and they sought me out. I haven't streamed in over 2 years, and this guy still knew who I was and came to say that, and I was like, dude, that made me feel so good. That made my day, right? Because it was a struggle when I was on Twitch. It really was. Still a struggle for me very often, and my goal on there was to try and promote positivity. Encourage people to paint and do the hobby. And I feel like there's a lot of people where the community can be very toxic. What people say can be very toxic, and then perhaps what they are saying to themselves, the battle they're waging within, is very toxic. So I would always tell people to leave the world a better place than you found it. You never know what people are going through in their everyday lives, so be kind to them always. I would say that. And then I would say, when it comes to painting, don't let fear dictate your life, right? Do the things that you want to do. All that matters is that, in this case, painting, you're striving to be a better painter today than you were yesterday, and your goal tomorrow is to be a better painter than you are today. That's all that matters. It doesn't matter if someone says something mean to you on the internet. It doesn't matter if you feel like my work's not as good as that award-winning artist. Okay, that might be true. But is your work today, are you showing improvement over yesterday? Because that person you're looking at, their stuff today looks different than it did 10 years ago. And, I would always tell people, like, we're all in our own cars, on our own highways, on our own paths, and our finish lines are all different. And we're all going to get there in our own time, at our own speed. It doesn't much matter how fast someone else is going or how good they are. It matters that you're striving. And, if your worth, your self-value is predicated on others, right? You're never going to be there. You're never going to hit that mark. And I'll tell you why, and this is what I would say on Twitch, is that if you can never feel good about what you're doing, you're always going to find someone who's better at it. Like, I can get on Instagram right now and probably bring up 5 artists, boom, 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 and be like, this dude's better than me, this dude's better than me, this girl's better than me, that guy's better than me, and I could do that. Like, one of them right now, Gavin Paints Minis, if that's still his handle on Instagram, he's been painting probably half as long, and he now works for GW. He's one of their heavy metal painters, and he's a Golden Demon winner. He won last year at Adepticon, 2022, and he used to be in my stream, and I saw him develop and how fast he skyrocketed. But I'll tell you what he did that I didn't do, and this is the same kind of process. That dude painted every day. He practiced every day. He was humble. He watched streams. He I'm pretty sure he took classes, but like, he strove for growth, and he did it in his own way. He put the fuel in his own car, and he got where he's at, right? So I jest and I joke a little bit because he would come into my streams and on our hobby hangout nights on Sunday, and I would showcase community photos at the end of my streams. I would always save his for last, and he would always like, I'd say mic drop, but like brush drop. I'm like, here it is, Gavin's here making us all feel bad again with his awesome stuff. Just being slightly bantery and trolly, but like, he knew I was just hamming it up and trying to make him laugh or smile because his work was so good. But he was always humble. I don't think he hung out my streams because he was necessarily better than anyone. I think he enjoyed the hobby, and maybe he learned something and he was progressing on his own path. That's the way it is for you guys. That's the way that I tried to encourage others when I was in the stream. So when this guy came up to me and said what he said, that all came full circle. It's like, hey, this is one person. This one person thought to come seek me out and say this to me, and if all the stuff I did, if it helped that one guy, maybe it was worth it, So that helped me pretty good. Second thing that happened, I had a lady come up to me at the booth, and she said, "Hey, Justin, you might not remember me, but I traded you some Tau models when you were streaming." And I was like, "Oh, yeah, I remember." I didn't remember her name, but I remember trading for the Tau. And she was like, "You traded me some terrain for Tau." And he's like, "Oh, yeah." She's like, "I started watching your Twitch stream because you were painting Dark Angels, and I was painting Dark Angels for my husband." And I was like, "That's very cool." And she's like, "Now I'm trying to get him into Battletech, blah, blah, blah." And we had this whole back and forth. And I was like, "Well, hey, let me try and help a little bit." And, because I traded her terrain for Tau minis. So I got one of my little AO, area of operations things that I designed, and I wrote on it, and I was like, "Hey, please play Battletech Plox, smiley face, armed painter." And I gave it to her. I was like, "Give that to your husband and see if you can, just get a little free thing and get a little bit motivated to paint, right? Or maybe not paint, maybe just play, So that was cool. Not quite the same level of emotional type thing, but it was still cool to have someone come up. Now, that said, I had a few experiences at the con with people who knew me from YouTube for Battletech. CGL was very big this year. The Battletech area was probably like 1,000% bigger, maybe even 2,000% bigger than it was last year. It was massive. Last year they had like 2 grinder tables. This year they had rows of tables of shit going on. It was astounding how big it was. So I had a few people when I was around the CGL booth that recognized who I was. I had 2 guys that recognized me because I knew them. Josh Varga and Denham from the Mech Bay podcast. That I've met him at Southern Assault as well, and Nova. Because Josh won my Nova event last year. Josh, if you listen to this, probably not, but if you are, you better watch out for Nova this year. We've got more people now. We're at 22 out of 32 slots, and we still got months to go. I think we sell out of that event in a couple months tops. And we haven't even had Fortress promote it yet, and he's like a sponsor of it. He hasn't done like any major posts, so at least not to my knowledge. So I think if he does a push to be like, "Hey, Northern Assault, Justin's hosting," after that, a few months later, you can come play in Southern Assault. I'll be hosting, and Justin will be playing. Like, I think we sell out. So I met a few people like that that I knew, and then people I didn't that said, "Hey, they're a painter, blah blah blah, Battletech." I was like, yeah. So let me bring up the chat that I had on Facebook real quick. Let's see. So I was at the convention. Let me find him. Nope, wrong guy. Having to go back. I'm making you guys wait on me. There it is. Cooley. All right, so this guy is he says his name is Bill Kim. If you're watching this, Bill, what's up, bud? So I'm standing at the Catalyst Game Labs booth, CGL booth, and I'm kind of like looking around, and this dude's like next to me. He's like, you're the armed painter from YouTube. And I was like, yeah, that's me. And he's like, I watch your channel. I'm new into Battletech. I'm getting an Alpha Strike. I'm playing in the tournament right now. And I told him, I was joking. Because, if I get a vibe from you and I think I could bullshit with you and give you a little bit of banter and try and make you laugh, I'll do it. If you're real serious, I usually don't. I'll tell you a quick story. Something had happened to Adepticon where someone wasn't happy with me. On badge pickup day, I already had mine as a vendor. I'll show it to you. It's got a lot of jingles on it right now. Whoops. That was mine. All those jingles. So anyway, there's a long line. We're talking hours of waiting. And to get out the front door, because some of the guys in our group vape or smoke or whatever, we were going out for them to have the vape break. And I was like, hey, pardon me, can I get through the line? And they broke a little bit. And as soon as I did, instead of walking through, I jumped and turned and I hopped. And I was like, thanks. For letting me skip in line or whatever. And the people, and then I was like, I was turning to basically be like, just kidding. A bunch of people laughed. And then I already had my tag on already. So of course I was joking. My battery on the camera was about to die. So anyways, had a little bit, or I'd already had my badge on. And, the people were laughing. And I was going to turn, and I did. And I was walking out the door. And I'm just kidding. The guy behind me was absolutely pissed. He was not happy with me at all. So many people at Adepticon are pretty tipsy, and pretty sure weed's legal in Chicago now, so there's a lot of people smoking. And I thought he was just gonna laugh it off. He was not too happy, so I walk real quick. So sometimes I misread the room, but most of the time, I think most people handle me pretty well. So this guy, Mr. Bill Kim here, he said he knew me from YouTube. He was playing in the Alpha Strike tournament, and had been watching my videos, and he was very new. And I said, banter-wise, trolley-wise, I said, cool, if you win, you should tell them that you learned everything you know from me. And I was joking. I'm like, I'm just kidding. So then he sends me a message. During editing, I will try and get these photos up. He says, so you were joking about the whole winning thing, but ... And he's got a picture of Adepticon 2023 Championship Circuit Alpha Strike Best Overall. I don't know where he placed. His paint job is pretty good. I'm assuming that's the totality of the scoring. Best Overall. And he got this cool freaking medal, right? And I was floored beyond anything. I was so excited because I made the troll, and then this dude, as far as I knew, he got into Battletech. He saw my channel. He tried Alpha Strike. He didn't know anything about it. And he's been learning from the things I'm putting out, which for me, I'm like, maybe it's helpful. Maybe it's just stupid. I don't know. I want to put something out there for people to watch. Maybe it'll be fun. And, he says, so feel free to take credit. And then I told him, that was epic and his minis look good. And then he says, thanks. And not kidding when I say your videos helped greatly. That's awesome. I don't think that I'm God's gift to the world for tournament play. Far from it. I think what I do bring to the table is I used to play tournaments. I can be competitive, but I fall somewhere in between where I like to build lists and have fun, but I don't push it to that level where I'm going to make someone miserable. And if I provide tools for how I do stuff, other people can take them and use them in the way they see fit, right? So if the things I put out help someone take it to a tournament and they may not have won first, but they got best overall, I still think that's awesome because maybe the things I'm saying are helpful. Now, it doesn't mean that everything I say is awesome. It doesn't mean that someone else isn't doing stuff better because I'm not always awesome, and there are people who definitely do it better. To quote a buddy of mine, he would say there's never the way, there is a way. So the things that I say may just be one tool for your toolbox, and something someone else does may be another tool for your toolbox. So I asked him if he had some pictures. He took a picture of, it says a 2-for-1. He had 5 mechs, which basically made it impossible for him to effectively stop my fast movers, which ran off the table on the left flank at score 60 points easy. And he said, and on the right flank where my hitters were advancing, his mechs couldn't deal with that part of my army, plus an Epona and Corona popping into his rear, disrupting things. Plus, here's my list. And he has a picture of his list. And then he's got a picture here. And again, I'll try and make sure these are up on the screen for you. They've got some hills that were 3D printed. I'm pretty sure those are ones we did for them. We printed some stuff for their tournament scene, and he's describing what's going on here. So I'm not sure exactly what I did that helped him. Maybe that was like deployment or the flanks, but it was super cool to meet someone who watched my channel and then felt like what I said was actually helping and recognized me. Like, that's cool. I don't want to be internet famous, but like, again, that's one of those, if just one person hears this Alpha Strike thing and it helps them, it was worth it. Well, just one person took it and then told me it was worth it, basically. And that's freaking awesome. And again, this is Bill Kim. And Bill, thank you for talking to me at the con. That was cool. I am glad that you did well. It's awesome. And also, your mechs look, or your force looks fantastic, man. That's an award I think was very well deserved. And hopefully next year, not only what do I hope you return, I hope that you place even higher in the standings, and I hope that you continue painting minis, because those look really good, especially for someone new to Battletech. That said, folks, I think we've rambled long enough today. Those were 3 examples of things that happened with me at the con where I met people who knew me from Twitch or from YouTube, and I wanted to end on the Battletech one because that was super cool, and I got him to send me a few pictures and a copy of his list that he played with, which actually, you know what, before we end today, since he gave me his list, I should go through that real quick, because that'll actually be cool. I can put this on the screen and we'll talk about it. So, which one was his? All right, let's take a peek. I'm going to look at his army here. So he's got the Warhawk and the Flashman. So the list here with the Warhawk and the Flashman will be his. Yep. All right, so it's playing a 400-point game. He's got a Flashman Skirmisher, skill 3. Oh, so yeah, 3. Warhawk, skill 3. Yeah, that's pretty brutal. He's got his Epona. He's got the infantry. I'll have to bring those infantry up. The downside is we don't have cards here. He's got some battle armor. He's got another battle armor. We've got the Stormcrow, Ebon Jaguar, Nova, Pouncer, Mongoose. Looks like his skills are on average probably a 4, considering he's got 3s and a couple 5s. His 5 is on one of his infantry, or one of the 5s is on infantry, which in my videos I've talked about, depending on your deployment option for that, what they're going to do, where they're going to be, and if that 5 is on infantry, it's going to be close, which if you put them inside of a transport, which he had, I think the Epona can carry, oh no, that's infantry fighting vehicle. Never mind. So if the vehicle can get up close and leverage the 5 skill, but at short range, it helps mitigate some of that skill level being not so great. And then he's got the Mongoose with skill 5. Mongoose has a very high TMM. If it wants to shoot you, it's probably going to be doing it on your rear arc at short range, so the higher skill doesn't matter. So he's able to shave a little bit of points and then bring, adjust that so you could increase or make the skill level better on some of those other mechs. So it also looks like they were using some type of formation rules or special abilities, because he's got Tactical Genius on his Flashman and his opponent had Forward Observer. So I'm not sure exactly what their list building parameters were, but that was his list. Very cool. And it looks like, what did you have? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 units. So 11 models and a 400-point list. That's pretty cool. I think if I was playing a 400-point list, I would have probably over 20, or at least 20, because at 250 for Inner Sphere, I usually field probably 12. For Inner Sphere, like I'll field a company at 250 like that. And if I had 150 more points, yeah, I mean, I'd probably have probably at least 16, because you could bring in like 4 more light mechs. Like you could bring in like 4 more Locusts, for example, just quick math. 4 Locusts at 20 points each-ish, 80 points, which would put you at 320, right? 250 plus 80? 330. Sorry, I can't do math. So 330, and that would leave you with 70 more points. That's still a couple of mechs, or it allows you to play with your pilot skills. So you could have 16 models to play the objectives and adjust the pilot skills. Or you could use those points to bring in more vehicles, more infantry, whatever. So it gives you a lot of flexibility. With Clanners, it's more difficult for me, but with Inner Sphere, man, 400 points, I would have so many minis on the table. Now, that said, they may have had a cap, which also makes sense. So if I was capping at an event, I'd probably cap it at like 16 or 20, something like that, just so it doesn't get too crazy with cheap infantry. So again, I don't know what the list building here was, or for them was, but at 400 points, man, whew, if I'm playing Inner Sphere, especially if I'm playing like Wolf's Dragoons with Inner Sphere Max, I'm dropping a bunch. That's what's going to happen. So, but that said, thank you for sharing your Alpha Strike story with me, Bill. If you happen to watch this, sound off in the comments below. Let people know about your experience, and hopefully tell them that was pretty cool, because I try to be cool. And yeah, so that said, folks, if you guys happen to see me at Northern Assault at Nova, Southern Assault here in North Carolina, when Bobby runs at the end of the year, or maybe at a local hobby shop in North Carolina at some point, maybe, make sure you flag me down, say hello, maybe we can get some games in, or at least bullshit about Battletech. On that note, if I don't sign off today, you guys know what'll happen. I will continue to ramble, so let's go ahead and wrap it up now. If you're looking to pick up anything Battletech related at all, check out Fortress Miniatures and Games. We got some links down in the description below. If you're looking to pick up any paints, monument hobbies, and if you want to support what I do at my day job, check out Death Ray Designs. Pick up some of the AO terrain or some of our third-party mechs. That said, it's time to sign off. You guys keep painting those models, keep rolling your dice, and I will catch you guys next time.